body, coconut body, oh, diamond sister. You know the what you paid for a lot. She get the lime in the coconut, she took a bowl up. She put the lime in the coconut, she took a bowl up. Put the lime in the coconut, she took a bowl up. Put the lime in the coconut, she called the doctor, woke him up and said, doctor, is there nothing I could do? I said, doctor, doctor, is there nothing I could do? I said, doctor, let me get this straight. Put the lime in the coconut, you drink a bowl up. Put the lime in the coconut, you drink a bowl up. Put the lime in the coconut, you drink a bowl up. Put the lime in the coconut, you call the doctor, woke him up, say, doctor, is there nothing I can do?
Rockin' Larry Locken. Hey, I wanted to just do a quick talk about everybody's favorite subject. I'm sure that they get tired of hearing about, but Russia. Okay. You know, Trump can call it a witch hunt all he wants. You had Giuliani out there today. You know, apparently this was like a line in the sand moment, supposedly for Mueller today. They were going to have like they thought Mueller would come out and make some announcement. Yeah, he did. He indicted somebody else this morning. You know, and now Trump's like saying, okay, well, I'll keep Jeff Sessions till after the midterms. So we got to get out there and vote and win those midterms. But so then after that, so what? He's going to fire Sessions, get somebody in there real quick, and what, like trying a lame duck session over a month, try and fire Mueller. I'm not too worried about that because the Senate, the House, which should be under Democratic control, they will just reappoint him maybe as a special prosecutor or something like that. Okay, like Kenneth Starr was, independent prosecutor. But I don't think really they know what the fuck they're doing. I mean, I think they know they're in a lot of trouble in a lot of ways, and I think they don't know what everybody knows about, like a lot of people know about them. But one thing is that before I get into that concern, is that, of course, on September 4th, they're going to start the hearings on that guy that Trump nominated, Brett Kavanaugh. And the Senate does not have enough Republicans with the spine to reject this person. So I think that's going to get through. And why that's important is because as we go on down this path with Trump, okay, as we go on down this path, it's going to be hard to, if Mueller tries to make the point where, okay, forget it, I'm going to try to just indict a sitting president, right, which would be easier than an impeachment trial. Well, not an impeachment trial, the Dems had it, but it would never get through. I mean, 67 votes through a Senate is impossible, no matter where, you know, anytime in the last 100 years. I'm thinking, well, maybe not Watergate, but I mean, you know, even then, who knows? But, you know, as we go on down this road with it, you know, where does it go? Does Trump just, you know, hang it out, stay it out? Does he resign? Are the charges so egregious if they get rid of him? That the House, you know, but what I'm saying is on the Supreme Court justice, I had a little bit of a brain freeze, but on the Supreme Court justice, what will happen is that Mueller will challenge this every step up through the district courts, the local courts, through the district courts, and he'll win all the way through, all the way going up, and then he's going to get into the Supreme Court, and they're going to shoot it down 5-4 on party lines. Is the way I really feel about it. And that'd be if he decides to go that route. He might not even decide to go that route, and because they don't have a standing precedent for impeaching it, for indicting a sitting president. They do for when one leaves office or resigns from office. They have, they can do that. I don't know that they ever have, but they can. They can do that. So that's one thing I do know for a fact is that they can do. But I mean, really, what would it matter? I guess, after Trump was out of office, and I'm sure some kind of plea deal would have been made by then, and the Trump, and Trump can pardon his own self, except in a few certain state jurisdictions. That it's going to be interesting to see. You'll know. I see it ending up. There's no other way. Trump's going to have to try to pardon his way out of all this shit. And the Russians, people, listen. The Russians have been in our business. Oh, I don't know. They acted like our allies in World War II. I don't know why. Very bizarre why Germany decided why they had their hands full of Britain, much less us coming in, and why they attacked Russia. I don't know. That's kind of beyond me, but I don't know. It might have been something between Hitler and Stalin. It's some kind of pact. I don't know. But 30 million Russians died during that war, but yet they're just as barbarous as the Nazis are. And I'm not giving America my own kind. I'm owning my own shit as an American. I own the fact that we have been crusaders and we have bombed the fuck out of civilizations back into the Stone Age. And I'm ashamed of that. And I'm really ashamed of that. But the point I'm getting at with the Russians, like hacking into America's shit and stuff, right, is that they usually can use the technology. This is how it kind of went during the Cold War. They could usually, like we were in a race to always get a certain technology. Like they orbited the moon before we did. And like 4 years before we did, they went in 58, we went in 62. But the thing that they sent their person up in was very like shoddy and like a garbage can type thing. And they don't really care. Same thing with the way they treated their Olympic athletes and stuff like that, used them up. They're typically a few years ahead of us in technology. And then a couple of years later, we perfect it, make it better because we're working on the same thing too, but they'll throw those out there. So I think like they've been hacking into our shit, like through teletype, teletype shit in the mid 70s before we really had before we had like Apple computer like around 81 and things like that. I mean, I think they had something similar that wasn't quite as good but could get into our systems. And just money influence into organizations in this country. It was not probably as big as it was now, but I just don't trust them. And I'm not the kind of person to be like that. I don't hate any other country. I wish the whole fucking nation, the world, was cool enough to have open borders and everything was cool. I just don't. They've got a lot of power, and I don't trust their history. I don't see any difference really besides a facelift, between the Soviet Union and Russia. The whole coup is kind of weird to me. I remember watching it on TV when I was 16 in 1991, I think. And that was about the year, give or take. And it was really odd how, like, in one night, all these tanks were rolled up to the Kremlin and then they changed flags. I don't know. I mean, it just seems to me like, the second world, the world's second biggest or tied with biggest superpower would go down. I mean, I don't know, did a bunch of fucking Kremlin um, parliamentary members just decide to give it up? I don't know. So, but it's the same thing. You know, you've got the same kind of mentality running Russia right now. Even though people like to report that it's not. It's still the same kind of shit over there. Okay, and basically now they're running. Now, thanks a lot. Now they're fucking running over here. They're running our country now. If it ain't bad enough? I mean, fuck. I can't wait to learn the language. But no, no. Yeah, there's enough good people over here. They're not fucking. Yeah, you'll find a lot of them at the bottom of the well trying to come fuck around over here, but there's a lot of them. Not really though. Densely, there's not a lot of Russians for that big of an area. They've got the biggest part of the world, but man, they lost a lot of people in World War II, and they've got the most densely populated area of the big major five landwise nations in the world. The densely, I mean, not very many. Like it's half of what the next one is below it. I think that might be Canada or Australia. I'm not sure, but I know they're all, and then there's China and the U.S. Of course, those are the five. But it's very dense, so I don't know. I mean, but they're not to be trusted, and of course they're not to be trusted. Look at how they own Trump. They own Trump. I mean, the guy had to declare bankruptcy 6 times, another 2 off record. Um, from what I hear, I don't know. Sources are sources, but it's just these are the same people that they've always been, and I believe that even maybe it's the negligence of some of the Republicans in the past 30 years. Who knows what kind of money they've taken from them. We know the NRA has been supported by them. I think that's pretty obvious. Um, in fact, a senator from my state, Jeff Murphy, tried to look into it and found out that they did take money from some foreign contributors. And usually they don't disclose that kind of thing. They've taken monies from the Saudis, a lot from the Russians, and it would only make sense if the Russians would support a group like that. You might say, well, why would that be? They have tough gun laws over there. Well, yeah, but see, that has nothing to do with it. It's about sowing chaos over here, okay? They like to sow chaos, and I've studied their shit since 1917, since they came into power, the USSR, and beat the Czar, who is like the same thing. I mean, it was like one shitty government beating another shitty government. So I know what I speak of when I speak of it. I mean, they promised their people this big if everybody worked together and just, and it was nationalistic, right? And didn't talk bad about the country, and that they'd live in this super paradise one day. And they had cartoons created in the 20s and 30s, the Soviets did, that were like that, and like anti-American, you know, cartoons. Not that I gotta give them, not that I gotta say that they weren't always 100% wrong, but they were swayed in a way where, it was like, it was coming from. But I mean, their shit was really weird, and it was like, a promise, a bunch of promises of this big future together. And it's like freedom, you know, and it's like fascism, however brand you want to put into it, whatever you want to call Russia, communist, whatever. I mean, none of those words or terms apply to any kind of a political real realm except for it doesn't apply to like whether the government's a dictatorship or not. So whether it's communism or fascism or any of it, capitalism, I mean, it's all about based on greed, you know, and then just a different face put on it, you know. So and then people want to get hung up on the terms sometimes too, like you know, socialism or what that means or what that may your own particular meaning of that word may be, which to everybody has. It seems like all those words I mentioned, everybody has their own term. There are dictionary versions for each of them, so look them up and you know decide for yourself. Just like I'd look up the word liberal. Look up the word liberal. I'm not going to tell you what it means, but I think that if most people did, they would agree with it. But other than that, I mean, you know, like I said, I don't have anything against any other country at all, except for the fact that I know it isn't just I'm a paranoid American who's grown up in America my whole life. I get, you know, I can get that and I understand when they think that, but I mean, I don't. Believe me, we have our original sins. We are nobody to say anything about anybody to anything or anybody. I mean, we've got problems and we've got problems that we need to solve from the past to make up for. We've got problems that we need to address now. We've got problems on the fucking horizon to deal with. You know, we fucking murdered and genocided countless people and really different ethnicities and races of people. But yeah, I won't stay off Russia's ass. They're not. They're very. They don't give a fuck about. They don't give a fuck about the difference between them and us. And I guess it's a weakness that they don't give a fuck about what it takes to win. They don't. They sent a guy up to space in a fucking trash can to be for 4 years. So not landing on the moon. We did that, but orbiting it before that. So I know, you know, but we had to make sure that it was, you know, but that's how they still think and are, and now they're running our country. And thanks a lot, you know, you know, thanks Trump. Yeah. Anyway, all right. With that being said, I'm out.